there, welcome back, or if you're new, welcome to the second episode in this decorating series. First, I'd like to apologize for how delayed this video was. Recording voiceovers can be difficult in a shared living space. But anyways, today I'm building the museum area on my island. This space ended up being way bigger than I originally anticipated, so I tried to smush footage down as much as possible to keep runtime down to about 20 minutes. But whether you're here for background noise or inspiration, I appreciate you being here, and let's get right into it. So like I stated in my previous video where I did the campsite, I want to make a very large and mostly symmetrical space. To do this, I'm taking carvings out of this large square of cliffs, making sure to count tiles to keep things even. The waterfall that I destroyed marked the center of the square that I'm trying to make, and I'm just going to run back and forth, increasing space in increments of 4 tiles on each side until I'm satisfied with the dimensions that I have created. So now I've finished carving to a desired land depth, and I'm going to create a second layer of cliffs. So you'll see me running back and forth here because I totally lost where the center of my cliffs were, so I make sure to mark those before building. It takes me a while to find the center again. I don't think I've said what I'm looking to make yet, so here are some inspiration photos of what I'm going for. I want to make a large water feature that sits in front of the museum. Unfortunately, I did make my land even with resident services for symmetry purposes and also for flow purposes. So because it's even with resident services, the museum can't be centered behind the water feature like I originally planned, because the width of resident services is 12 tiles, so the whole chunk of land is even with the 12. It has a 2-tile line of symmetry. But the museum's width is 7 tiles, so it has like a 1-tile line of symmetry. So it can't be centered directly behind the water feature that I'm trying to make. It's always sad trying to get symmetry in Animal Crossing. I feel like it so rarely works out, but my idea to pivot to is to put the museum off to one side and then fill the surrounding area with decorations pertaining to the museum, like fossils and Flick's bug commissions and a little coffee space for Brewster. So I've marked out where the museum is going to go, and then off to the right where I just ran through, I'm going to put a fossil area and a bug area. I'm thinking of also featuring each fruit tree up here. I know a lot of people have dedicated orchards for fruit, but I like to sprinkle fruit trees about naturally, so I think this will be the way to feature them deliberately in one area. But anyways, I'm going to make waterfalls sort of similarly to how I carved out cliffs. I'm just going to go back and forth and try to keep things even, and like I always do with water, I make sure to make things curve and flow into each other. as I make more and more waterfalls, I once again make sure not to have them flow straight down, and I add bends and curves where I can. Then my goal is to fill this entire bottom layer of land with water, sort of like a small lake, or maybe an especially large pond. I'm building a small piece of land to go in the center of this lake just to serve as like a decorative monument. Maybe an item will go up here one day, but for now it's a placeholder. And then I'm just going to start fleshing out the bottom pond/lake from the outside in. I'm creating floating pieces of land in the water, partially as a way to get to the middle cliffs once it's surrounded with water, and partially as a means of adding character to the space. So now I'm making small edits to the sides of the upper cliffs. I decided the waterfalls I made are kind of unnecessary. They don't flow with the others well, so I removed those, and then I make some minor shape changes because I realized at some point that I didn't make the sides as even as I thought, so I go back and I fix that. Then I decided to connect the waterfall on the right here to the water feature. I was going to have it connected to a similar cascading waterfall thing with a whole separate layer of cliffs above it, but there ends up just not being enough room, so I just decided to connect it diagonally. So now I have broken symmetry to expand this left side of cliffs to make room for a ramp, and I have just a bit more terraforming to do before decorating. I've decided to box in the water feature with a sort of land bridge situation, and then off camera I'm going to gather items to decorate with. So here's me beginning the land bridge. It's nothing fancy, just a straight across line that bends slightly inwards at the corners to sink in the water feature. Here's what it looks like when standing on it. I think being able to see the water from this elevated angle is way better than seeing it from the ground and just tilting the camera perspective upwards, so I really enjoy how this turned out. Okay, I cut the pathing for time, but here's the finished product. I'm just going to add some more floor clutter patterns like flowers and leaves to make it look more decorative. The goal here was a very walked through area, so I love this natural path design and I applied it in a patchy kind of way to make it look like it gets a lot of foot traffic. So now I've filled my inventory up with decorations and I'm going to start tentatively starting to place down items, starting with this bench. I think it would be really cool to have a sort of sitting area up here. I feel like it makes a lot of sense for the space to have a sitting area right next to the waterfalls, and so I've decided to place down this garden bench, and I'm going to have a second one because I think two would look much better than one, which is why I'm leaving that space there. I'm doing a signpost to lead up to the museum, but I realize that it has to be customized, and so I go and do that real quick. Then I'm placing down these log stakes sort of to act As a fencing here, obviously it's not really fencing, but I think log stakes are a really good crafted item, DIY item that can sort of like help outline your spaces. And I've used them before in the campsite area, but I'm using them again up here to sort of act as a barrier. It's sort of how fencing would, but without having actual fencing, because I don't really think that fencing would go great up here. So here's me trying to arrange log stakes in a way that I think makes sense in this area. And yeah. As I head up to this top layer, I actually forgot to show the placement of this museum stonework path, but it is very cute. It has fossil and owl patterns that are perfect. And then I also forgot to show me planting the fruit trees, which will be in the bug area. I arranged the trees in order of how their collection stamps are received in the Nook Miles rewards menu, and so that was a nice touch, I think. Around the museum, I'm placing down some very basic decorations. We have these Turkey Day pedestals and also the plant topiaries. I also really wanted to place down this shell fountain, but unfortunately it did not align evenly with anything. It would have been great if it would have gone straight on the line, but it just did not. And I also tried to align it evenly with this tree area, but it also could not align evenly. So unfortunately, I will not be able to use it in this space. I also had the idea of using some of Celeste's DIYs around here, but I realized that not a lot of them can actually be placed on the ground. A lot of them are wall mounted, and so even though I place these down here right now, I do get rid of them later because maybe I don't have enough recipes or something, but just the ones that I do have aren't easily placed on the ground. Okay, so it is a new day, a lot has happened, a lot of items have been collected. It took me a very long time, a lot longer than I thought it would have taken to compile all of the items that I wanted, because I had to time travel so much to get all of Flick's bug commissions, and then I also forgot to get Brewster on my island, and I didn't realize that I didn't have him yet, so I had to do a whole sequence to get Brewster on the island, and then introduce myself to him, and yeah. But anyways, I'm just placing around some plants in the area, and I think I'm going to start off with decorating the fossil area. Yep, so I've compiled the fossils that I want to use. I have 2 big fossils and then 2 small fossils that I really want to place in this little display stand here. So that is what I'm doing. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on to decorating Brewster's area. I'm starting off with lining the area with some hedges, again getting in fencing wherever I can, and I'm going to begin placing down the items that I have already customized, and I'm starting off with these plant partitions and this stall. I just want to place around a lot of items to basically have customers make their own coffee, like a sort of outside coffee stand but with nobody manning it, you know? So I'm just placing down all the items that I've collected and customized, and yeah. Also, if you think the stall customization with the stripes there looks a little bit clunky, you would be correct. I made it myself. I didn't think stripes would be too hard, and so I just sort of did something really quick, but I do later decide to make the stripes a little bit thinner, and I make the colors slightly less harsh. I do want to have a very striking blue aspect to it, but I think the thick stripes here just were working against me, so I do tone down the colors just a little bit, but I don't show that on camera. I do that off camera, and you'll probably see a cut where it changes later in the video.
Why don't you? Why don't you?
Here is me beginning my bug area. I decided to make a little picnic thing on this ledge over here. I really love this design. I love the cutting board, like the charcuterie board vibe to it. I think it's really, really cute. So yeah, I'm just making a little sitting area on the edge here because I feel like it's I want this area to be very whimsical with all of the bugs and like butterflies. When I say bug area, honestly, it's mostly butterflies because the butterflies are adorable. And also the bugs are quite small sometimes, so you can't see them very well. But I do place a few bugs around. I think I have ladybugs and like mantises and whatnot, but it is mainly a butterfly area. But I wanted this space to be really whimsical, which is why I placed around more of the flower ground decorations, and I placed them surrounding this little picnic. And also I put a little library in the center because I think a little library is adorable and it matches the vibe of this area perfectly. And I think the museum having a like library aspect to it of the whole like learning thing is very fitting. So now I'm pretty satisfied with my spaces that I've created, and I'm just going to go around and add little touches here and there. So like this decoy duck, and then also that tree that was down there. I'm adding some plants still. I had this step ladder on the side of the museum, and then I also add some coffee cups and coffee decorations that I forgot to add earlier, but just to make the space again look like lived in and like people are going through it, like a lot of people are around and exploring this area all the time. So yeah. So now something that has been bugging me a little bit has been the vast emptiness over to the left of Brewster's area. It feels just very, very strange, I think. And so because I haven't been leaning into the forest core as much as I would like to, I'm just adding a bunch of trees to this area, and like, I mean a ton, like so many trees. I'm making this a very, very woodsy part of my island, I think, just this like left area, and I'm just adding so many trees, and I'll be adding bushes, and I'm adding flowers, and yeah, I'm just bulking up the space as much as possible to make it look less sad and strange, because the edge of Brewster's area I feel like also is not fenced in, so it looks very, very empty when there's nothing right next to it. And so my solution, bunches of trees. Okay, and now I am satisfied with my reforestation efforts. I'm going to do a final run through all the way to the top of the bug area, but I'm really satisfied with this place. I think it turned out great. I think that a lot of my visions definitely came true, which does not happen all the time. But thank you so much for watching. If you like this, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out as a small creator. This took me a really long time, and so I would really appreciate it if you could just show some support of any kind. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!